Welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're all about the gut-brain connection. It's pretty amazing to think. These two totally separate parts of our bodies, they're constantly talking to each other. It influences everything from our mood
Mm-hmm.
to, even those late night cravings we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely right to be curious because this connection is so much more complicated and way more important than most people even realize. So we're going to be using some really cool research from the Cleveland Clinic to kind of break it all down. So get ready because you're about to learn some fascinating things about what's going on down there in your belly
Yeah.
and how it all affects your brain.
It really is amazing. We always say things like butterflies in your stomach, right?
Yeah.
Like a gut-wrenching decision.
Yeah.
But these aren't just like
Yeah.
no sayings. They're really showing these real physical feelings that we get just because of this super strong link between the gut and the brain.
It's like our language has always known about this connection, even if science is just catching up. But it's got to be more than just a few butterflies, right? Like how much information
Yeah.
is actually going back and forth between the gut and brain? It's got to be mind-blowing.
Oh, it really is. The amount of information exchanged, that's more than any other system in the body. And it's not just like a one-way street, you know what I mean? We're talking like a constant back and forth with signals going from the gut to the brain and back again. It affects everything: digestion, mood, even our immune system.
Okay, so how does all this communication actually work? Is there like a little tiny telephone wire running from my stomach to my brain?
Well, not exactly a telephone wire, but there's definitely a whole network of nerves. One of the most important ones is called the enteric nervous system. A lot of people call it our second brain. This network has over 500 million neurons, and it lines your entire digestive tract. And get this, it can actually work on its own without the brain even telling it what to do. It controls digestion right there in your gut.
Hold on. So my stomach is really making decisions without me. Like, hey, brain, we're having pizza tonight.
Well, it's not quite that simple, the enteric nervous system. It does make those local decisions about digestion, but it's still part of our autonomic nervous system. The one that controls all the things we don't have to think about, like breathing and heart rate and, digestion.
Okay, so there's like a whole other brain down there just managing things.
Yeah.
But how does it talk to like the main brain? The one up here calling the shots.
That's where the vagus nerve comes in. It's like the information superhighway between the gut and the brain. It's this long nerve. It goes all the way from the brainstem down to the abdomen. It sends a constant stream of information from your gut to your brain and from your brain to your gut. Think of it like a fiber optic cable, sending all that crucial data. Things like nutrient levels and inflammation, even if there's bacteria in there.
So it's like the vagus nerve is giving a report to the brain about what's going on in the gut. And then the brain sends instructions back down.
Exactly. It's this constant conversation back and forth. That lets the gut and the brain work together to keep everything running smoothly. But here's what's really cool. The vagus nerve can actually trigger reflexes, both in the gut itself. Those are called intrinsic reflexes. And reflexes that involve the brain, too, those are extrinsic reflexes.
Okay.
Like an intrinsic reflex would be, the movements that move food through your digestive tract. And an extrinsic reflex might be that feeling of nausea you get when you eat something that doesn't agree with you.
Wow, this is getting complicated. I thought we were just talking about digestion, but it seems like the vagus nerve, it's involved in a lot more than that.
Oh, it definitely is. And we haven't even talked about bacteria yet. Did you know that all those trillions of bacteria that live in your gut, what they call that, the gut microbiome? Well, they play a huge role in this gut-brain communication, too.
Wait, bacteria? You mean the stuff we're always trying to wash off our hands?
Yep, the same bacteria. But here's the thing. Not all bacteria are bad for you. Actually, the bacteria in your gut, they're incredibly diverse, and a lot of them are actually good for your health. They do all sorts of important things, like breaking down food, producing vitamins, even training your immune system.
It sounds like there's this whole ecosystem
Yeah.
living in our gut, and you're saying these tiny little creatures,
Yeah,
they're talking to our brain too.
exactly. Those bacteria aren't just hanging out. They produce their own signals, like neurotransmitters, serotonin and GABA. Those directly affect brain function and behavior. This is where it gets really interesting, because research is now showing there's a strong link between what your gut microbiome looks like and your chances of having things like anxiety, depression, even neurodegenerative diseases.
I also have got all these neurons
Yeah.
and trillions of bacteria all working together to keep our gut and our brain on the same page. I mean, it really makes you realize
Yeah.
how connected our bodies really are. But it's also kind of a lot to take in. Like, what can we actually do with this information? How do we make sure this whole system stays in good working order?
That's the amazing thing about all this. Once we understand this connection, we can start making choices that support both our physical and mental health. This Cleveland Clinic report, it highlights a few things we can all do. And a lot of it comes down to what we eat.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What are some things we can eat to help our gut-brain connection?
Well, a lot of it has to do with, making sure we have a healthy and diverse gut microbiome. It's kind of like a garden. You know how a garden thrives when you have a variety of plants? Well, your gut is the same way. It needs a diverse range of bacteria to really thrive.
So we're talking about more than just, eating our fruits and veggies.
Exactly. Fruits and vegetables are definitely important, but a truly diverse diet, it goes way beyond that. You want to eat a wide variety of plant-based foods, especially foods that are rich in prebiotic fiber. Prebiotics, they're like fertilizer for your gut garden. They provide food specifically for those good bacteria.
I've heard of prebiotics. What kind of foods are we talking about?
Things like artichokes, leeks, asparagus, onions, garlic, all great sources of prebiotic fiber. And each type of fiber, it feeds different types of bacteria. So the more variety you have in your diet, the more diverse your gut microbiome will be.
Got it. So variety is key. It's like creating a balanced ecosystem in our gut. But what about probiotics? I always hear about those when people talk about prebiotics.
You're right. They definitely go together. Well, prebiotics feed the good bacteria that are already in your gut. Probiotics, they actually introduce new live bacteria.
So it's like sending in reinforcements.
Exactly. You can find probiotics in things like yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. They all add to the diversity of your gut microbiome. And they can help replenish the good bacteria, especially after you've taken antibiotics, which can kill off both good and bad bacteria.
That makes sense. So we've got prebiotics feeding the troops and probiotics bringing in the new recruits. Is there anything else we can do to help out our gut microbiome?
Absolutely. Just like any army, those good bacteria need protection. That's where antioxidants come in. They're like the shields for your gut army. Antioxidants are these powerful compounds that you can find in colorful fruits and vegetables. And they help fight inflammation and protect those good bacteria from damage.
So eat the rainbow for a healthy gut.
Pretty much. But taking care of your gut-brain connection, it's more than just diet. Remember how we talked about stress? Well, managing stress is really important too, for keeping your gut and brain in balance.
Right, I remember. But why is stress so bad for our gut?
Well, when we're stressed, our bodies release hormones, like cortisol, and that can cause problems in the gut microbiome. Cortisol can actually make the gut more permeable, what they call leaky gut. This means that stuff that's not supposed to can pass through the lining of the gut, and that can lead to inflammation. And it can disrupt the balance of bacteria in your gut.
So basically, chronic stress is messing with our gut ecosystem.
Yeah, you could say that. And remember, it's a two-way street. When your gut is out of whack, it can send signals back to the brain that actually increase stress and anxiety. It's like a vicious cycle.
That sounds kind of scary. So how do we break that cycle and manage stress in a way that helps our gut-brain connection?
There are a lot of good strategies. And a lot of them are pretty easy. The Cleveland Clinic recommends things like deep breathing exercises, meditation, yoga. All of these can help calm your nervous system and reduce those stress hormones that can be so harmful to the gut.
So it's not just about feeling calmer. It's about actually changing our body's response.
Exactly. And in addition to relaxation techniques, cognitive behavioral therapy can be very effective. That's also called CBT.
I've heard of CBT. How does that relate to gut health?
CBT focuses on, identifying and changing those negative thought patterns that can contribute to stress and anxiety. By addressing the mental and emotional side of stress, we can lessen its impact on the gut and break that vicious cycle.
So it's like a two-pronged approach.
Right.
You're dealing with both the physical and the mental aspects of stress. Are there any other therapies that can help?
There are. Biofeedback is another interesting one. It uses electronic devices to help you become more aware of your body and how it responds to stress, like your muscle tension, your heart rate, even your skin temperature. When you can actually see these responses happening, you can learn to control them. And that can reduce the negative impact of stress on your gut.
It's amazing all the things we can do,
Yeah.
to help our gut-brain connection. It's kind of empowering, to know that we can actually make choices
Yeah.
that directly affect this system.
It really is. And the research is always changing. We're learning new things all the time about how the gut and brain interact. We're really just starting to understand how amazing this connection is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things you want our listeners to remember?
Well, first of all, I hope they understand that the gut-brain connection, it's a two-way street. this communication system, it affects so many things in our bodies, from digestion to mood, immunity, even cognitive function. It's not just about having butterflies in your stomach. It's this really complex system of nerves and hormones and bacteria that affects our whole well-being.
And we learned about all those key players: the enteric nervous system, the second brain, the vagus nerve, that's like the information highway, and the trillions of bacteria in the gut microbiome that are sending their own signals. It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. And the most important thing to remember is we have a lot of control over the system. We can make choices that help our gut-brain connection. And it starts with what we eat. A diverse diet, full of prebiotic fiber and fermented foods. That helps create a thriving gut microbiome. And antioxidants. They protect those good bacteria.
Right. We can't forget about stress management, deep breathing, meditation, yoga, CBT, biofeedback. All those things can help reduce the effects of stress on our gut.
Yeah.
And stop that back and forth between gut problems and anxiety.
Exactly. By taking care of our gut and our brain, we're really taking care of our whole selves.
This has been a fascinating look at the gut-brain connection. It feels like we've just scratched at the surface, but it's definitely a good place to start.
It really has been. And as we finish up, I want to leave our listeners with a question, given everything we've talked about this close connection between your gut and your brain. What if you focused on improving your gut health? Could that lead to positive changes in other parts of your life? Maybe a better mood, clearer thinking, even better stress management. I want you to think about that and maybe explore this connection a little more on your own.
That's a great question to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the gut-brain connection. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep taking care of that amazing gut-brain connection of yours.